Today I'm going to tell you an incredible story. The journey to the land of fragrances, or as the Egyptians called it, the Land of Punt, is known to us from the inscriptions and reliefs of the Temple of Ammon near Thebes. Evidently this land was located in what is now Somalia. Seafarers in fragile vessels covered a distance of 2,000 kilometers. In 1976, French researchers René de Tauriac and Gilles Artagnan, aboard a ship of ancient Egyptian type called Punt, retraced the famous voyage from the time of Queen Hatshepsut. If you enjoy this kind of content and want to hear more fascinating stories, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, but only if you're genuinely interested. Get ready for the story, and to those listening before bed, I already wish you sweet dreams. Turn your heart to books. I, the scribe Padiuste, copied on papyrus under the teacher's dictation those words so many times that they seem burned into my memory. For 6 years, day after day, I was taught that in books and only in books lies the highest wisdom. Like the other students at the school in Thebes, I thought that a person who does not read books and does not know the art of writing is a worthless worm. The wind of travel blew the pride of scholarly learning from me. I began to respect the people of the sea. I came to know the world. Hear my story as I remember it thanks to the mistress of memory, the goddess Ma'at. It all began when the Ethiopian Retu, slave of our teacher, burst into the schoolroom. His eyes blinking wildly, he gestured so urgently that one could understand. Someone wants to see the teacher at once. It goes without saying that we were always pleased to be spared from his monotonous voice and the palm branch strokes, which he spared less than our backs. We bless to you the teacher's skinny and loud wife, for her habit of distracting him from lessons. Surely something happened in their house, crowded with children like a net full of fish. But this time it was different. The teacher appeared. His face was not so severe as solemn. Looking over our heads, he almost sang. Padiuste. I leapt up, but my legs barely held me. In my knees I felt a disgusting trembling. What will I be punished for? I thought. Did I hit Yamis? For that they already beat me. Perhaps a slanderer complained to the sandal-bearer father, and now I will be truly punished. Padiuste, come with me. The teacher's voice as though through mist. And, like an echo behind me I heard the contemptuous sneaker of Yamis. A single bruise was one thing. I do not remember how I ended in the antechamber, then in the teacher's room to the right of the door. There sat a man of about 40, broad-shouldered, with short-cropped grayish hair. On his forehead a scar and his right hand missing a little finger. No, this is not Yami's father, I decided, and greeting the stranger, I respectfully crossed my hands upon my chest. Looking me straight in the eyes, the stranger nodded. Your Grace, addressed the teacher. This is the boy you wanted to see, Padiuste. The best pupil in my class. I glanced sidelong at the teacher. And why is he boasting about me? After all, only today he called Yamis the best pupil. A smile flashed on the stranger's face. For my purpose, he said, the best may turn out to be the worst. Can he fight? I do not teach that, the teacher answered, offended. But, as far as I know, Padiuste will be able to defend himself. That is good, said the stranger in reconciliation. I ask you to inform the parents of this youth that a great honor has been revealed to them. I, Hebson, envoy of Her Majesty Hatshepsut, may she live and be well, accept Padiuste into the expedition and appoint him scribe. Padiuste has no parents, he has an uncle, the teacher spoke. Our teacher loved precision in all things. We had come to be accustomed to it, and the royal envoy, it seemed to me, did not care for unnecessary details. Let it be uncle, he thundered irritatedly. Tell him that his nephew is being sent to the land of Punt, where no Egyptian has yet been. Forgive me, your grace, the teacher interjected hastily. In ancient books it is said that in the times of Pharaoh Sahur our land received 80,000 measures of myrrh and 2,600 bushes of blackwood. Helmsman Y visited the land of Punt 11 times. And when did this Y live? Interrupted the royal envoy. 1,500 years ago. The teacher hissed as though it was a well-learned lesson. Oh, so long ago. The envoy retorted disdainfully. Who remembers the route to the land of Punt? Tell me, your scholar of papyri, how to sail there. How long will the voyage last? Will the wind blow in one's face or on the stern? The teacher was silent. You see, your Y did not write about that, but he, the envoy solemnly poked his hand at my chest, will write. In many years people will know where the country of Punt lies, what people inhabit it, what riches it holds. Let us go, Padiuste. I bid farewell to the teacher, thanked him for having taught me literacy. It seemed to me the teacher was pleased that Hebson approved of his choice. Could he have chosen Yamis or some other student whose fathers were noble and wealthy? With them there would be many concerns. And I don't know my father. My mother did not name him. Already in the street I heard the teacher's voice. Padiuste, bring me a small monkey. Do not forget. We pressed on over red sands scorched by the sun, languishing from heat and thirst. The hardest work fell to the slave-bearers. How many have been left in the desert? Countless. On the 6th day of travel a pale blue ribbon shimmered in the distance. Only then did Hatshepsut break the grim, concentrated silence that had held during all those days. Lift your head, boy. Behold our ships. Hatshepsut's eyes shone with a wild brilliance, as though the desert's slumbering longing for voyages had awoken in them. I quickened my step. The ribbon was widening, growing broader and broader. Already one could see ships bobbing near the shore. They had curved prows, low masts with wide sails, and 2 oars at the stern. The ships were about twice the size of those that sail the Nile. I rejoiced, deciding that I would have to describe the sea, the shore, the vessels, and recalling what hieroglyphs would be needed for that. But the task proved not as interesting. Squatting, I recorded at Hatshepsut's dictation what was being loaded into the hold of each of the 5 ships of our expedition. 20 sacks of barley, 6 wineskins of dark beer, 30 skins of water. I turned my head into wonder. Shamefully, I did not yet know that water at sea is salty. From the sea one does not drink. Hatshepsut explained. One must store water for at least a month. 6 bows, he continued after a pause, 12 quivers of arrows. One of the slaves stumbled and dropped his burden. From the sack spilled dozens of metal mirrors, and in each the sun glinted. I've never seen so many mirrors at once, I admitted. They like these trinkets, said Hatshepsut, taking advantage of a break in loading. Once I was sent to one of the islands, he pointed to the open sea. There for each mirror one was paid with pearls. Understanding that the word pearl meant nothing to me, he added, these are shiny little stones found in shells. To obtain them one must dive to the sea floor. That is why they are valued as gold. His speech was interrupted by the appearance of 6 slaves, bent under the weight of some object. Why, that's the statue of Our Majesty Hatshepsut, may she live well and powerful. I bowed respectfully. Of course, I had never been in the palace and seen the sun-shining one on the throne, but in the new temple of Ammon, to which my uncle led me, on the stone walls were many images of Hatshepsut. The day before we left Thebes, said Hatshepsut, Our Lady summoned me to the palace. Solemnly, as befitted daughter of the creator and ruler of the world Ammon, she explained to me how important it was that I open the route to the land of Punt and bring from their fragrant myrrh trees to the temple of her father. As a token of favor, the daughter of Ammon allowed me to take that statue and place it at the prow of the first of the ships, so that the unfading gaze of the lady might first touch her beloved country of Mir through the sea. It darkened quickly. Loading went on by torchlight. Nearly naked slaves hauled sacks and chests. My hand moved almost mechanically. My eyes stuck together. Then I was told I had fallen asleep while recording the cargo being loaded onto the 3rd ship. Hatshepsut ordered me carried to the deck of the 1st ship. I did not see how the heavy stone anchors were raised and how the fleet set sail. The great blue unfurled before me like a roll of papyrus, and the ships inscribed glyphs of white foam on it. The ships rode across the sea with their keels, but no scribe has yet been born who could read those inscriptions. During the voyage I learned not only every nook of the ship but also met people from the sea. Their hearts are truer, indeed more fearless than a lion, and their vision sharper than a falcon's. And they foretold storms before they came and thunder before it roared. One was braver than the other, none among them unworthy. Most of the sailors were from Byblos, famed for craftsmen. The ships built in Byblos by command of Lady Hatshepsut set out in search of the marvelous land of Punt. On the starboard side stretched a desert coastline. This wretched land of Cush, deprived by the gods of water. People who came here seeking gold perished of thirst. As Hatshepsut said, each of the former kings had ordered a well be dug here, but all attempts had failed. I looked in all directions. Sometimes huge fish with whiskered mouths like crocodiles peeked from the water. Seeing them for the first time, I covered my face with my hands. Hatshepsut said, Do not hide your face with fear, Padiuste. These are sea hyenas. They are not terrible for those on ship. Would you like me to throw a hook overboard and catch one of those creatures? No, Hatshepsut, I begged. Let the sea hyenas go their path and we ours. After 2 months of journey the shore changed. Everywhere bright green trees covered the hills. After another week the shore turned to the right, and the ships, following its curve, entered into a broad bay. Land of fragrances, Hatshepsut proclaimed solemnly. He fell to his knees, praising Ammon. I and all who were on deck followed his example. And only the oarsmen rose and fell in rhythm, steering the ship toward the shore. An unusual spectacle met our eyes. We saw a village, Reed huts stood on stilts like impaled stakes. The people were darker than resin. They raised their hands in surprise. Evidently they had never seen ships. And after a while a wondrous meeting occurred which I remembered forever. We stood by the shore. Toward us came a procession, the chief of this land, his wife, an incredibly fat woman, seated on a donkey, the somewhat less fat daughters and courtiers. From afar I noticed in the king's hands a crooked stick. Why does the chief hold a crooked staff? I wondered. Hatshepsut couldn't hold back a smile. What kind of staff? Crooked staff do not exist. This is a returning stick. You mean a stick that can be thrown and returned by itself? Exactly. I've often seen how it's done. Like this one raises the hand. Hatshepsut suddenly fell silent, apparently realizing that now was not the time for explanations. The chief turned and spoke in his guttural tongue. May the gods protect you. And you are likewise. Hatshepsut responded. My mistress wishes to know, he continued, how you arrived in his land, by sea or descended from the sky. We came by ships, Hatshepsut answered calmly. Who are you? Came the next question. I am envoy of Queen Hatshepsut, lady of Upper and Lower Egypt, mistress of Kush country. At her command I brought you gifts. Hatshepsut gave me a sign. I unrolled a papyrus and began to read it, listing the goods we brought. The interpreter barely managed to translate. The chief nodded approvingly. His wife and daughters clicked their tongues, anticipating the joy of owning unseen treasures. Then Hatshepsut mentioned what we would like to have. Twilight descended. Stars filled the sky. It seemed to me they were larger than ours in Egypt. The air was filled with a dizzying fragrance. And even the howling, the calls and splashes of some beasts or birds could not prevent me from falling asleep. I fell asleep right on the shore. In the morning, rubbing my eyes, I ran to the ships. There the work was already boiling. Oarsmen were unloading our treasures onto the shore and, pulling from sacks, laid them on the ground. Sailors filled skins with water. At the same time they unpacked their gifts. What was not there? Leopard skins, elephant tusks, blackwood, fragrant resin. On leashes led baboons and greyhounds. Behind walked little black men as tall as 8-year-old boys and tall black men with wooden sticks. But what is this? Did the forest move? I was not mistaken. The bearers were carrying casks with blooming myrrh trees. The next day we raised sails and bid farewell to the beautiful land of Punt. I will not fatigue you with the difficulties encountered on our return voyage. You might find it incredible, but it lasted more than 2 years. I will not tell of the storms sent by hostile gods, of waves 10 cubits high. I will only boast that I was entrusted to watch over the little men on deck, and none of them fell into the sea. Praise to Ammon, for we returned safely. And throughout the land there was great joy. Both banks of the Nile rejoiced. Great and small of Upper and Lower Egypt came out to meet us. The sun shining one herself, leading her courtiers and priests, met us at her father's newly built temple. Seeing the casks with myrrh trees, she offered praise to her heavenly Father and exclaimed, Now you may walk in your garden as in Punt. Seeing the little men she addressed them. Dance, pleasing your lord Ammon. I was commanded to write these words of Her Majesty, along with a brief account of our voyage, on the walls of the sanctuary. My chisel became the plow and the stone slabs a field. I made furrows and sewed the words, so that visitors to the temple could learn of the land of fragrances and what we brought from there. But since not all understand divine signs, I with that same chisel carved a high shore covered in unknown trees, huts on stilts, the chief with the returning staff, his vast wife and the donkey she sat upon. Look closely and you will see me on deck beside Hatshepsut, whose heart is more courageous than a lion's. And see the little monkey I gave to the teacher for choosing me, not Yamis, whose father bore the royal sandals. Know that I did it all. The mistress praised me and appointed me chief scribe of the palace, to which I gained access along with the great of both lands. I was graciously permitted to build myself a tomb of hard stone, like a man of noble ancestors.